My name is Calvin Wise. I'm the Director of Recruitment at Johns Hopkins University. I'm one of the senior managers in the office. I also have Baltimore City and Baltimore County as my travel territory. So I work with students who are coming from the local area, as well as I'm involved in the selection process. And right now, helping admitted students figure out if Hopkins is a good place for them.
Awesome. So can you just explain the general admissions process for Hopkins?
Yeah, so the best way to probably describe it is that to help you understand what we look at when we review an application. We break our review process up into three different categories. We have an academic character review, a review around students' impact and initiative, and then a review around students' personal contributions or qualities, who they are as a person. And of course, those aren't kind of mutually exclusive buckets or things fit nicely in one of those buckets. As you would imagine, there's a lot of overlap. I'll give you a couple of examples, tangible examples of how things fit into those buckets, which I think might help students out a little bit. Academic character is what people first think about when they think about applying to college. We're looking at a student's academics. But it's much more than what their GPA is, weighted, unweighted, if their school doesn't calculate a GPA. We really dig into how a student has navigated the opportunities available to them, how they are in the classroom. It's more than just the number. It's about what the number represents and how students are following their academic interest. We have transcripts. We're very familiar. I've been at Hopkins for almost 10 years, and I've been reading transcripts in the Baltimore area for almost 10 years, and I visit the schools. We understand some of the opportunities and challenges across the school system. We receive letters of recommendation from counselors and teachers, and so you want to think about who you want to get those from, but they give us an example of how you contribute, within classroom discussion or how you approach academics. I think it's really important to understand, especially in today's climate, that there's a lot of conversation around remote learning and the challenges it puts in front of us. And what I've been telling folks is that it's so much deeper than that for us. We understand, this is probably one thing that we can think about in recent history that everybody's going through. And so we do dig into transcripts to understand what's beneath some of the challenges that are there.
Awesome. So you brought up one question that one of our students, Caitlin, asked. Who should be writing recommendation letters for students? What would you suggest?
Yeah, so each school, I'll first say that not all colleges require letters of recommendation. If a school does require a letter of recommendation, usually on their website, it's probably the best resource for all information. They'll tell you who they need. Most schools are pretty open. They usually want 2 teachers at least to taught you an educational setting, and you can, sometimes submit supplemental letters from like a coach or a supervisor at work or something like that. So that's really it. I mean, you want to think about who knows you best in the classroom and not just somebody that you just did really well in their class, because we'll see the grade that you got in the class. We want to know how you engaged when you came across material that you're interested in or in small group discussions.
Awesome. So then non-academically, how would you describe what you're looking for in a student?
Yeah, that's kind of the second bucket, impact and initiative, and thinking about how students spend their time outside of the classroom. So it's basically, what are you doing besides eating, sleeping, and going to class, right? You understand that all students are doing that. Some students are working a significant amount of hours a week, and we love to hear about that. And there are ways that you are making an impact in that kind of way, or if you're taking care of younger siblings or an elderly relative. Those are all ways that you're making an impact. In addition to things that people think about when they hear extracurriculars, if you are doing community service, involved in clubs and organizations and sports, it's more about what are you getting out of that experience. That's kind of the main thing that we're looking for.
Awesome. So can you share a little bit about the college essay and what those requirements are for Hopkins?
Yeah, and that's a good example of kind of the third piece, how students are showcasing kind of who they are as a person, which matters a lot in our process. Just a quick plug, we have a website called Essays That Worked. It's a very popular website. We get a lot of traffic to it, and every year we update it with essays that we really enjoy. So I encourage students to take a look at that so you can see some examples of essays, and those students were all admitted. They weren't admitted because of their essay, but a little misleading in the title, but they're good. We deem them as good essays. And
they helped.
They did. And it helped us find out more about them.
Right.
And you'll see that there's a variety of life experiences there. You really you want it to be genuine. Don't write an essay just because you think this is what colleges want to know about you. Be careful to not dive too much into storytelling. Most essay prompts or responses can only be about 650 words, and that's not a lot. So you want to focus more on how that incident or that experience impacted you and what that means to you, and less about the actual event that happened. And then one quick thing, most selective institutions require a supplemental essay. So this is an additional essay in addition to the essay if you're applying through the Common application or coalition application, if you're looking at College Park and maybe at Hopkins, that goes to all schools. And those are very specific, particular to the institution. Like ours is about collaboration. And so we want to know about your experiences collaborating with others. Again, another way to highlight personal qualities that we think are really important for our students.
Awesome. Thank you. So I don't want this to be too long for our students and to be respectful of your time, but I have to ask some questions about the SAT. I think we got questions in. Everybody is concerned right now, not only about their SAT scores in general, because this is the time when students are normally starting to get their first round of scores, but also what that will look like due to COVID-19. So can you just share a little bit maybe about what Hopkins looks for in general for the SAT, and then if you know how you'll be adapting it for the next round of applications?
Yeah, I'll say this. I think oftentimes there's an overemphasis on standardized testing. Even at a place like Hopkins where we require it, and we actually have a pretty high middle 50 percentile for our SATs, that's not the driving force of our conversation. By all means, it's a part of the evaluation, but we're not admitting and denying students based off of that. We look at all the other components of the application. Obviously, right now, we're in a very challenging climate. ACT and SAT have been canceling exams, and it's really unclear what the future of the summer and the fall may hold. More generally, there are a lot of colleges out there that are test optional, that do not require standardized tests. You want to check with those colleges to see if they require that for scholarships, but there's a list, and there's a growing list of schools that are test optional. We haven't made that move yet, but we will continue to monitor the situation and kind of see how things evolve. But even in processes where it's required, it's not going to be a heavy focus. And especially for this year, even if colleges end up requiring it, they understand kind of the context and the experiences and the challenges that students face. So I would imagine that would be taken into consideration as well.
So students should pay attention to the schools that they're specifically interested in to find out whether maybe they're moving test optional, which might be an option, or paying attention to later SAT dates.
Yeah, I would say, and this is kind of to, a question that I commonly get, what should I be doing right now?
Right, that was my next question.
There we go, I'm reading your mind. You want to start crafting your list of colleges, work between now over the next couple of months to just really get a nice long list, feel like you spread it out a little bit of schools that you're interested in and start following them closely. There are some resources that I'm sure you all use to help your students navigate that. Make sure that you're on their mailing list, and even if you're getting emails from those schools, go to their website, find their mailing list. You can even just Google JHU mailing list and make sure that your information's up to date. And then create some folders in your inbox where you start storing emails from colleges. We'll see a lot of important information about policy and procedure changes, about virtual options. It's kind of straightforward how to connect with colleges right now.
Right.
Everybody is doing things virtual. So they will be sending you information about those events and start kind of logging on to those events and getting to know a little bit more about the colleges.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Are there any other tips in general of, things that students can be doing, whether it's COVID or non-COVID related right now in their junior year to prepare?
Yeah, I would just say, and I know it's tough because of how challenging everything is, and had conversations with school administrators about grading and the rest of the school year and the uncertainty there. And I would just say that, try to relax, try to understand that, there are a lot of people out there that are trying to help, especially around this process, universities being flexible, school administrators trying to work and doing their best. We understand that everybody's doing their best on our side. And so I would say just take a deep breath, focus on what you control. In the short term, just start researching some colleges. You can control that if you have access to the internet and a device. Start learning more, log on to some of these virtual sessions, take some virtual tours. I think right now that's the best use of your time, starting to figure out where you apply, because that's going to be the one thing that you ultimately have a lot of control over.
Great, thank you. And then before we wrap up, I also wanted to ask, for students who are specifically interested in Hopkins and are, have been really working hard to earn those credentials, can you share a little bit of information about the Scholars program for Baltimore students specifically?
Yes, so we have what's called the Baltimore Scholars program. There's a very helpful website that breaks everything down. If you just do a Google search for JHU Baltimore Scholars, it will pop up. But generally, if your family makes under $150,000 a year and you live in Baltimore City and attend the Baltimore City public or charter school, you're admitted to Hopkins, you qualify for the Baltimore Scholars program. Includes undocumented and DACA students as well. Under that program, you can receive up to a full cost of attendance scholarship. On the website, it breaks it down how much money you would receive based off your family income. And then there are a lot of other benefits when you come to Hopkins, opportunities to get funded to do study abroad and money for living expenses if you have an unpaid internship in New York City. There's connections to faculty members and a lot of other great experiences once you get to campus. I know a lot of students have questions about the financial aid component. If a student doesn't qualify for Baltimore Scholars, they live in the county, but they go to the school in the city, we still have extremely robust and strong financial aid packages. People are scared by our sticker price, but we meet 100% demonstrated need. For Baltimore Scholars and all of our students, we have no loan programs, which means that you are not expected to take on any debt when you go off to college. We do not package our students with student loans. So there's a lot of great resources to check that out. So great program.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Calvin, and thank you hopefully for easing some anxiety that our students are experiencing right now. And I'm going to include all of the links when I send this out to our students for all of the resources that you shared. So thank you again, and take care, and hopefully a lot of our students will be seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.